Here we go. Let's see. Let's see how things are working. Let's check. There we go. All right, things are working okay. Let's get to it. I am working today on my SVG library, working on a few ideas related to displaying images in the REPL and stuff like that. So that's the idea. I'm gonna do myself a little favor here. Yeah, okay. So things are looking okay. Got to get my head in the right place here. But we're moving ahead. So first of all, I realized there's one in this SVG wrapping function here. I want to provide one other arity, a zero arity function that lets me not worry about the dimensions of the shape on its own. It will automatically put the right view box around whatever shape that I give it. So actually it does need this. It's the arity is just the content. Then these ones content and width, and this is content, width, and scale. Might make these keyword based later on, but for the time being this is okay. So what I need to do here is get the bounding box of an element by doing this, transform / bounds. Whatever shape is passed in gives me the bounds of the shape itself, which should be fine to use. And what I can do with that is get, let's see here, how do I want to do that? I need the, let's see here, SVG viewport. I think I basically need to make this exact structure like this, except for needing to well, so I need to calculate the width and height, obviously. And then I think here I need half width. I need the half width of this thing to be, actually, wait, let me think about that for a second. Hey, Outer Space Alpaca, thanks for tuning in and talking in the chat. I hope you're doing well. You have no idea what it is, but you're learning Python for the first time to make a text game. Very nice. Well, I'll tell you right now, this isn't Python, but I've used Python before. It's a fun language. Do you know other programming languages at all, or is Python your first crack at programming in general? I'll explain in just a moment a little more deeply what this is, what I'm working on. You knew some HTML in college, that's about it. Well, it's a good, nice place to start, and Python is a great general purpose language to be learning, so all the best. That should be fun. What kind of text text game are you thinking? Like what's the genre called? Like an adventure text game where you like type in commands like open the drawer or whatever, that kind of thing, or something different? All right, let's see here. So I've got SVG. All right, let's go. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me show you briefly what I'm working on today. So this language I'm using is called Clojure, C-L-O-J-U-R-E. And I use it to make SVG graphics. Well, I use it for a bunch of things, but this project is SVG elements. Just starting with a simple open the left door, open the right door kind of thing. Yeah, gotcha. That's a great place to start. That sounds like a fun project. I'm into it. That's really cool. Right, so here is an example. Let's see. So I'm not sure. Are you familiar with SVG? What does SVG stand for? Actually, I don't know what the S is stands for. Something vector graphics. Let's see. Scalable vector graphics. There you go. That makes sense. And what it lets you do is it's a graphical tool, so you can draw shapes and lines and all that with it. I use it to make CAD tools, computer-aided design tools. But people use it for art. People use it on the web for all kinds of graphic related things. So in Clojure, you've got this thing called a REPL where you can type code in here and it will evaluate it for you. You're familiar with CAD. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't mean to talk down to anyone. Just people come with all different backgrounds. So sometimes people don't know what CAD is. So that's cool. But right, so in the Clojure REPL, right, you can do whatever you want. You can write full programs right in the REPL. Anyway, because it's a graphical tool, SVG, I had this idea to work on something that lets me kind of quickly view the graphic directly in the REPL environment. Not sure if you know what REPL stands for. REPL. It's read, eval, print, loop. Python has a version of a REPL as well, so maybe you're familiar with it from Python tutorials. Anyway, unimportant specifically, but I have this function I'm working on called show. And the whole idea here is this piece of data is an SVG graphic. It's extremely simple. It just shows a circle in the corner. But the whole idea is I'm working on this function show, and if I pass the data into it, if you let it run, this is part of what I'm working on. I want it to be fast because it is needlessly slow. But the idea is it shows an image right in the working environment that I've got here. So if I can get it to be quick, then it can be really nice for developing stuff on the go. So like if I define a new shape to look a little nicer than just that, if I do a circle radius 30 and I'll translate it 50-50, yeah, to the middle of the canvas, and then I'll do style it. I'm writing without good. This is a little hard to read. Let me fix this up for a second. Circle, translate, style. There we go. Let's do hot pink, because why not? And then let's do SVG 100, 100, 1, like that. Oh, of course I have to use the right namespace. It didn't work. What did I do wrong here? Oh, yeah. Fill. I'm just typoing, that's all. Oop. Please? No, I broke it. Sorry. Things are going wrong here. There we go. Hot pink. There we go. Okay, so that's the style and SVG, container, like that. Okay. Now, if I do show A, let it run it, it'll be different. There we go. Has no one been able to make it quick yet? Is this a problem I'm trying to solve? This is more an idea that I had in my head. There are other ways to, like, what I can do just arguably quicker is something like this, where I do, so A is this pink circle that I made here. What I can also do is this operation where I do there, and now if I go into this, so I can display it in a web page, arguably quicker. This is just a bit of an idea I had. If I can make it operate nice and quick, it would be kind of cool to not have to go out to some other app, right? So that's the idea. It's nothing too crazy. Just kind of exploring it, right? So right, you could do it even faster. Like this becomes much faster to use if you're going for real quick feedback. But if you wanted to just check it quickly once, this is potentially an option. I don't know. It's just goofing around, you know? You had to change your IDE to not type over when you want to put something in front of a command. You have the same problem. Yeah, this was the issue I had with these was it's just related to there's a little plugin called par edit, as in parentheses edit, and I'm not used to it yet, so I mess up the formatting sometimes is all. So it's a bit of a me problem. But yeah, so if I redefine A, for example, to be blue, see that it changes almost instantly, and I can set it up to auto reload so I don't even have to refresh the browser myself. So this is definitely the arguably the better way to do it. This is just for fun more than anything, because I was experimenting with new language tools that I haven't learned about, you know. How does the environment know it's hot pink or blue? Where is it pulling the hex code from? Oh yeah, so SVG is a it's basically tied in with everything HTML, and so and CSS. So it's just one of the built-in CSS color names. So if I have a look in here, let's see. This here, let me just fill, and then let me just do, see that hot pink is one of the predefined names, right? So pink's in there, honeydew. So when I'm doing my own stuff, I will, like, you can fill it with a hex code or an RGBA like this. It's just CSS basically. So if I do that, oh, I think it probably doesn't work with transparency in the REPL here. probably. Yeah, that's a weird. See that? It just puts the fill right in here. See that? 0.6 is the RGBA. Change it right there. And it just doesn't display properly in the REPL. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Yeah, Alpaca, yeah, it's pretty convenient that you can use all of the, you can format things basically with CSS. And that's exactly, that. Like, it's because I'm using SVG, which as far as web browsers are concerned, it's basically treated like HTML elements with some differences. But you can use all the CSS properties on it, which is quite nice. Yeah, happy Monday, Mike. How are you doing today? Hope you had a good week last week and a good weekend. Yeah, so let's, I want to check one final thing here. I'm going to adjust this style to use just RGB. Oops, there we go. Now if I show it should have color, yeah. But now if I do, let's do opacity, half that. I don't know if this will show up the way I expect it to, but let's see. Oh, it worked. Cool. Okay, so clearly in the context of the REPL here, it doesn't like RGBA, but you can combine a regular RGB color with an independent opacity setting, and that will alter the image itself. So that works. Doing well, doing good. It's a very busy week. You had a lot of issues pop up on the company site, rapid succession, had to fix them quickly. Finally back to a normal week. How did streams go? Oh man, Mike, sounds like a busy week, but it's good that you got it all fixed up and normal. That's good. How are my streams? They were good. I took Friday's stream off actually, which was actually really nice. And then Thursday's stream, I had to do it a little shorter because I have two roommates now, and one of them, well, we all work from home, and occasionally my stream conflicts with important meeting times. So until I turn this room into like a nice soundproof studio kind of thing, I just have to pay attention to when I can't be disruptive to my roommates. So I had to cut it short on Thursday, but that's totally cool. It was nice to have a more casual Thursday for myself anyway. So things are going well in that regard. And progress is happening nicely and steadily, and I'm feeling good. Today, I'm starting out with this, you saw it very briefly. I'm messing around with this little tools namespace in my SVG library. I don't know how, I don't know if I'm going to keep this, but I was playing around with the fact that if you do clojure.java.io/file, and then you give a file name like this, this is now a file reference, and when you invoke it in the REPL, it if it's an image type object, it'll display it automatically. So I'm using that idea to see if I can make a simple little REPL tool for quick observation of my graphics as I'm working on them, just as another option for users to visually see what they're working on. So obviously you always have the option to compile and spit out to a file and view it in a browser. That works just fine. But I was just experimenting with this as an additional tool in the tool belt. I think it could be cool. The problem I have is it's slow. So for example, if I redefine A for a minute to be something different, more than just a circle. Let's do a rectangle. Actually, let's do a polygon, because that's more exciting, I guess. Sure, why not? Let's get rid of this opacity. It's not really relevant. But let's actually do fill none, stroke blue, stroke width 2 pixels, 3. Oops. Duplicate key fill. Yes, that's my bad. Good call there, Clojure. Saving me from myself. All right, so that's A. So if I show A, this is a new thing. That's fairly quick, but it's not quite as quick as I want it to be, you know? Nor is it live. It's like you do it once and then you have to call it again. It doesn't just keep displaying when you make changes. So it's not like a perfect thing, but it is kind of cool. So, yeah. It's pretty sweet. Like it's still kind of cool, I think. Oh, also over the weekend I sorry, 1 second. Yeah. Let's see here. Could definitely morph into something useful, and if not, you at least explored the option and learned some more. Yeah, totally. I really do like the idea of loading up the library, loading up your editor, and just having everything you need right there. You know, like to be able to render stuff without opening a browser window or some other app. That would be super cool. I don't know how practical that actually is, but as a user experience, that's compelling to me in some way, you know? So this is like an exploration into that idea without without trying overly hard. So the one thing that what I actually wanted, well, so there's kind of two main issues with this. One, what's actually happening in the background is I'm giving it SVG data, compiling it to an SVG string, putting that through standard into the ImageMagick convert utility, which itself launches Inkscape, and Inkscape rasterizes the SVG that it got passed as a string, and then it saves it to a PNG file, and then the PNG file gets referenced in the Java file object, and then it displays it. So that whole process takes a bit of time, right? Now, as far as I know, you cannot display SVG in Emacs, so you have to do it through PNG. So the rasterizing part is inevitable. There probably are different ways to rasterize it, so I might kind of explore those a little bit. But that's a little slow. The other thing is I don't want it to this here image temp PNG file. Oh, you can't see it behind my head. It makes a temp file and doesn't delete it, which I don't like. But if I do delete the file, then it doesn't display because it doesn't load a copy of the file. It just has a reference. It just points to the file itself. So if you delete it immediately, there's nothing to display. It doesn't break the object, but the object isn't pointing to anything. So it's useless. Right? So that is why now this, show A, it still creates the file. It saves the object and will give it out, but the file is now deleted, so it displays nothing. So that's useless. But it's just not a great, it's a first pass kind of thing. It works as a proof of concept, but I don't know exactly how to make it better yet. So that's what I'm thinking through here. Wonder if you could ultimately tie it into Emacs itself, write a plugin that will tangle and load up everything like you want to show. Yeah, so you can. Let's see if I could figure out a quick way to do it. Well, okay, so let me show you the simplest way here. If I make a it's a bit of an annoying nuance, the fact that it won't load it into memory on some level. Well, so the next thing I'm going to look up is some docs on clojure.java.io. I don't know that particular part of the library very well, so it's very possible that there is a way to do it simply, and I just haven't used it yet. So that's the next thing I'm going to look into. But in terms of loading things into Emacs itself, what I can actually do, there's some of this built in already. I'm going to make a link to this temp file for a minute. So if I do image tap temp.png, then I do org display inline images, it does display the image inline as well. Now, one downside to this, let me redefine A again for a minute. Let's make it, we'll make it an obvious change like this. So if I show A, it recompiles it or re-rasterizes it and it shows me. But you can see here it doesn't redo this. So what I have to do is toggle, or I have to rerun display inline to refresh it, and it'll display it there. So you get those, you don't get real-time feedback without refresh, right? So there's almost certainly more clever ways to go about this, but using all of the tools already available to me without doing any crazy amount of work, I'm like part of the way there, but not totally satisfied. So this is just some theory crafting anyway. I kind of like this. The whole idea I have here is sometimes you might be in the REPL building up bits of graphics and wanting to see the kind of intermediate bits as you go, right? Like, oh, did I draw, or are these points in this polygon, do they make sense? That kind of stuff. Unless you decide to have that show method pass in a call to Emacs running, to your Emacs running instance, and also toggle to make it look like it's real time. I mean, that's true. You could, oh, I could just make a save hook. Am I smart enough to do this? The answer is maybe. Let's see if I have, where's my config file? Yeah, you are. Hacky and very not good, but a funny thought. Hacky and very not good are like my that's like the motto for half of my libraries and stuff, but in a good way. I love it. Where did I save my, oh, here, MVC is what I started calling it. I'm very confused. There we go. Excuse me. Okay, so I've got Tangle on save somewhere. Oh, let's see if I could, I don't remember. Search forward Tangle on save. Okay, so using this as an idea, I should be able to make a little display images on save. Something like that. Let's see if I can make it work. Okay, when you're in an org mode file, right, and you're not in some special buffer, you run an org babel tangle, but you can also do, what was the command? Org display inline images. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Copy that. Paste a Reno right here. Okay. Then all you need to do is add that hook, and you're good to go. Alpaca, if you're still around, by the way, if you're not, that's cool too, whatever. But feel free to chat about projects you're working on, ask questions, anything like that. Anyone else who's tuned in as well, by the way. Don't be afraid to ask questions or whatever. I try to be helpful and answer things, and if I don't know, I try to be honest about it. Also, Mike often has useful things to say, so anyone feel free and comfortable chatting if you want to. I'm totally cool with it. Right, so images on save, after save hook, then just do this function. That's pretty easy. Okay, so saved that, and now eval buffer. Ooh. Oh, right, I can't eval this buffer. I have to, well, let's just do this. Eval that. Eval that. Not sure if that's going to work, but let's find out. Okay, let's give it a shot. Image tap temp.png. Hey, it worked. Cool. Wow, I'm happy with that. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's close that. So it obviously doesn't, because it's only hooked to the save of this buffer, it won't do anything, like it won't detect when the file itself changes. It'll just refresh all the images on every save you do. So it's okay. It's definitely good enough. I'm definitely happy with it. Let's do, let's mess around with this. How about that, huh? So then of course I currently have to show it so it saves the file. If I save this, there you go, it refreshes it. Nice. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all. First time, baby. Yeah, that's right. Yes. I'm getting like ever so slightly better every time I try stuff. I feel just a little bit more confident. I don't want to boast or anything. I just feel over time I'm becoming more comfortable with programming in general, and I'm happy with that. It's encouraging. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to do related to this, right, is have a little peek at some docs for this. Clojure, no, sorry. Where am I looking at here? Here, clojure.java.io/file. So clojure.java.io/, whoops. Let's see what other options we have here. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm kind of wondering, so I'm using file, right? I kind of wonder if I could do it as slash resource or something, and it kind of copies it into memory. I'm not sure though. So, or as file. I don't know. I have to read up on that a little bit. It's part of what happens when you continue developing. Little things you wouldn't think of before, they pop into your head because you know the inner workings of the ecosystem better. Yeah, I think that's a really good way to kind of explain what's happening is I've noticed it in myself and reading about different things and learning about programming in general. A lot of my confidence increases when I understand the words people use, the designs people have in mind, those sorts of things. I'm nowhere near knowing everything, but you just kind of get inundated with more and more of it over time. I found especially there's a lot of things where I understand, let's say, a data structure type, but I have no idea why that structure could be important. I don't know. There's a lot of reading online and a lot of resources that will explain what things are in programming, but not necessarily why they're so useful. With Clojure, there's a really good example that I still don't fully comprehend all the time. There's you've got a vector and you have a list. Now, you can map functions over both vectors and lists. You can use lists to store a sequence of things. You can use vectors to store a sequence of things. From a total beginner, it's almost impossible to know the difference. You know superficially the difference. You have to use different brackets. They have different names and that sort of stuff. But it's so hard to know why you would use a list in one context and use a vector in another, right? And there's a lot of stuff in programming that's like that. In my experience, being self-taught, it's like, I get why this is different. I understand that there's underneath it all, this is different and that happens, but I just don't know why that matters, you know? And as I get more and more of that knowledge in my head, it does start to flow a little nicer. Things start to make a little more sense. I'm like I keep saying, there's lots to learn yet, but that's also an encouraging thing to realize that you actually start to understand those things a bit better. I'm a fan of that. Okay, what was I doing? Oh yeah, let's look up Clojure Java IO. Oh, that's gonna be like a website. That's not what I want. There you go. Here we go. I want something like this. Might be like make input stream or something. I don't know. Let's see. This is probably not it. I don't know what this exactly is meant to. This stuff doesn't make sense to me yet. I'll be honest. That's okay though. I'll get there. Yeah, see, file exists or doesn't exist. Clojure.java. What's the difference here? Oh, I see. Okay, so that's not what I want. This seems maybe like the right thing. Let's just try it and see what happens. How about that? The classic approach. Just mess things up and figure it out as you go. All right, clojure.java io/input stream. Not sure if it's gonna work. We'll see. Show a. Yeah. So it is an input stream. But that's not. So it does, right. So the temp file is deleted, which makes sense because that's what I'm doing here. But that didn't do what I thought it would. That's okay. Let's run it one more time without the delete. Break it, take it apart, and fix it. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's totally how I still do things. I always like to try to take things apart. Okay, so the input stream is not behaving the way I thought it would. Totally fine though. Let's keep poking around for a minute here. Is it, well, what's an output stream then? Let's see. Oh no, that's for writing stuff, I see. Well, let's see what else we've got. SVG viewport. Right, so display images of formats. This is where this picture is where I got this line, Java.io file. Let's switch it back to file. We know it works, kind of anyway. This is on an issue, it's a closed issue on the CIDR GitHub. So this is where I started with this whole thing. How do you display images in the REPL in Emacs? CIDR is the REPL tool I'm using, and it is working, but what else can I do? That's the question. And I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't exactly know. Oh, that's okay. Oh man. I went on, it's not the longest ride anyone's ever done on a bike, but it's the longest ride I've done in a while. I went for 55 kilometers around exploring new parts of Vancouver on Saturday. It was great, but I gotta make sure I keep stretching out my legs because they're just gonna tighten right up. My goodness. Totally worth it though, in my opinion. 55 kilometers, yeah. Yeah, that's 55 km. Bike Bike ride, not running, not running. Is it insane? So okay, fair enough. It might be. It was a long ride. My average speed was 20 kilometers an hour, so yeah, it took a bit. But I might be biased here because my dad is super into biking and like he'll do 50 kilometers 4 or 5 times a week. He goes hard on his road bike. So I felt really proud of myself, and I realized just how much training my dad's put in on his bike to be able to do that more frequently. So maybe that skews my expectations. Do you just can't fathom doing it? I think I'd get bored. If you're exploring though, it makes it more fun. Yeah, that's totally fair, Mike. There's something about bicycles that just I don't know what it is, but I am always happy when I'm on a bicycle. I love the feeling of the speed that you get to go while still using your own like your body's energy to propel yourself. It just is so cool to me. And granted, for sure, the route I took was like along there were beaches, it was a beautiful day, there were people, there was other cyclists and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a happy time all around. So I'm sure that makes a big difference. But yeah, fair enough. It's not a thing for everyone. At least 55K is not for everyone. But I'm finally figuring out a new kind of workout schedule and routine and stuff like that. Since I've moved out here, I don't have the gym, the same gym access, so I have to figure it out. But biking's good, running's great. There's always great places to walk. I started rock climbing at the gym with a friend, and the rock climbing gym also has weightlifting spots, so I'm gonna be a-okay with my workouts and stuff like that. Oh, and there's also a park I can walk to where I can do calisthenics, so pull-ups and all that kind of stuff. So things are looking okay. Now the only thing is I gotta maintain the motivation to keep up the routines. That's the hard thing. It's really good. Biking makes you that happy. Great for you. Not damaging like running is. Yeah, it's definitely less impact. What I did find, my right knee actually had a twinge of pain after the ride. And I looked it up after. That is usually a sign that you have to adjust the saddle position. Maybe bring it up a little higher. Maybe bring it forward or back just a bit. I have to tweak it a little bit. But you're totally right. It's not like a hard impact, right? It's continuous motion, so the pressure on your joints is more constant and definitely nicer. It can be bad for your back posture over time because you might hunch a bit more, right? And you want to get your speed on the hills and stuff. So, but I'm not going to worry too much about that stuff right now. I'll figure out the ergonomics as I go. I think I'm still young enough that I could bounce back from that a little bit. Maybe that's foolish. Because banking on being young as a strategy is not a strategy at all. Anyway, let's see. Is there anything else I can do here? Let's see here. Clojure, copy image into memory. I'm young enough. Famous last words. Yeah, I know. It's it's a foolish thing to say. Absolutely. And that number never goes down. It just keeps going up. The age number, that is. Let's see. Image Z. I'm sure this isn't what I'm looking for. It's pretty cool though. Load image resource. Yeah. Is there like copy? There is. Input, output, and options. Let's see. Let's see what that. I went to the wrong spot. Here, Clojure Java IO. Oops. Copy. There it is. I'm blind apparently. All right. Copies the input to the output. Yeah. Okay. Input might be an input stream, a reader, a file, a byte array, character array, or a string. Output may be an output stream, a writer, or a file. Okay. I'm not totally sure what to do with that. It doesn't help me, I don't think. Just thinking about the data flow of this. Is it possible to... I don't know about that. Like if I just do Clojure... Right, it just displays it immediately. But if I def b as input stream, do I have to do it like this? It's a buffered input stream. Yeah, that's not helpful to me. Okay, I am kind of out of ideas with this, and I'm getting bored with it because I don't know where to go next. So there is one little thing that can help improve this ever so slightly, and that's to go up here. I was working on this and then stopped it partway through. If I go to elements here in the container, so every SVG thing to be valid technically has to be wrapped in an SVG tag. This function here will do that, but I have to explicitly give it a width and a height and optionally a scale value. But what I want to be able to do is, sorry, what are we trying to do now? I was still just messing around with, I was trying to see if I could quickly mess about with the IO input output stuff so that I could display the images without having the temp file saved to the folder. So right here I've got, oh, you can't here, sorry. This image file here, this PNG, is generated every time I run the show. What I wanted to happen is you run show, it generates the file, it saves the file to a var, deletes the file, and then displays the var, and then garbage collects it later. So I wanted it to generate on the fly, use a temp file, delete the temp file right away, but that doesn't display. So I was seeing if I could use an input stream or something to copy the data, but that didn't seem to work, or it didn't work the way I thought it would. And instead of figuring it out, I'm gonna move on. So what I'm doing right now is adding another call to this SVG function. So right now, if I do this here, if I want to, let me back up 1 second here. So I could run circle. I can run SVG/circle, and it makes a circle data, right? And what I would love to do, or what would be intuitively sensible, is if I could do show like that, but it will not work because because of how I've written it. So you need to be able to save an image from an SVG. It has to be wrapped in the SVG tag, and I don't have the right arity yet, so I'm going to put that in here. So what I need to do is, instead of requiring that I explicitly do width and height, I want to have this one calculate the width and height for me automatically. Hopefully that makes some sense. So if I do let width be, so first of all, let me swap back into this namespace, and let's have a little peek here at, let's destructure tf/bounds. So bounds here, it's always a axis aligned bounding box. This is the bottom left corner, bottom right corner, top right corner, top left corner. So using this and this, I can calculate the width. So I'm gonna do this weird destructuring right away. Let's do x min, y min, blank, x max, y max, blank of transform bounds of content. Okay. Then, oops. Oh, I messed this up by one. Did I? Yes, I did. I need to do this. Yes. Close the let. There we go. Now I can calculate width as max minus min, right? And height y max, y min. I think that's correct. So that gives me this and this and this and this, and that should be good enough, except for a situation where it's not good enough. But A is this circle. If I just do SVG with A, it does correctly fill in a width and a height. 29 times 2 is 58, so it does get the right width and height there, which is nice. Now the only issue is it an issue? I'm just thinking about positioning the view box. Do I want to translate I could do this. So we've got width, height, and I can calculate the center by doing centroid, right? Yeah. I'm just trying to think about the right way to move the display. Let's do it the first way that comes to mind, and I think I'm okay with this. Maybe not, but so be it. I'm going to change how this is written as well. String join. We've got width divided by 2, -2 actually. Height divided by -2. Width, height. That is the view box. It should be valid. So let's do this. SVG-A. So the width and height are correct. The view box is also adjusted a little bit here. And the reason to do that is so that centered elements will appear fully in the automatically generated view box. And I think that'll work. Let's check that out for a second. Let's reload this. And let's try show A. Oh, that's probably the wrong test. A, yeah, I meant to do, let's do show circle 20. No, that's not correct. What? Why not? Okay, it does wrap it. Okay, I've got to figure that out. I am going to go to the washroom for a second though. I'll be right back. All right. We got some work to do yet. Okay, so I fixed the SVG function, but this is displaying the wrong thing, and I don't quite know why that would be yet. So let's figure that one out. Excuse me. Right, so oh, that's still wrong. That's not what I want to do. Oops. Wow. Let's make it, let's def A as circle 20. Keep forgetting that I'm in a different namespace. There we go. All right, A is just a circle. Very simple. Now we can run this, show A. Hopefully, why does it keep doing that? Let's see. Okay, so it must not be actually generating. It must be failing here. So let's see why. Right, exit 1. Yeah, okay, fine. Fine. Oh, here, this has to be this data. That should work now. Okay, exit 0, that's good. There we go. Cool. So now I can use that to do, I could show SVG/rectangle 20 by 50 right away. Well, right away. It's a little slow, but it works. That's pretty cool. I gotta say, I'm fairly pleased with myself for that one. Now, let's look at other ways to rasterize and see if we can get a slightly faster approach to this. So to do that, there's another library, this one here, Batik Rasterize. It's a wrapper for this bring on the optimizations. Yeah, well, maybe, hopefully. So I've not ever used this library before. I just know that it exists. So it's actually so I've heard of this library, Dolly, and this is where, by way of Dolly, I've heard of Batik. Dolly I've heard of because it was shown to me by the this person here. What is their name? Stathis, whatever their first name is, or anyway, they on Twitter showed me when I mentioned my library. They said, hey, I also have this library. It is also for creating SVG documents and stuff like that. There's a lot of features in here related to layout that are pretty cool. So it's like in the same kind of space as the SVG library I'm working on, with some clear differences in what the reasoning why they started developing it. I would imagine they did it for the layout stuff and diagramming. Totally cool. Long story short, I want to borrow the idea of using this library to, on the Clojure side of things, see if that's helpful for rasterizing. So basically what I want to end up doing is replacing this function here, which saves a PNG, by calling ImageMagic's convert through shell. I just want to see if this will work directly in there. So let's have a look at that. So basically I just want this render SVG URI. It'll be this render SVG string, file name, and let's go from there. Okay, let's have a look. Let's see if this is helpful. Who knows? Who knows? Save that bad boy. Reload the REPL, see if it works. Oh, over the weekend I made, do I have it here? This one, I think. Let's see. Yeah. I finished this quilt pattern. Oops. And I think this one looks so nice. The colors are... I think this pattern's really nice. It's beautiful, crisp lines, good patterns, good colors, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I made a tweet about this, and it got a lot of attention and retweets and stuff like that. So people, I guess, responded well to the pattern. So that was kind of fun. But that's a tangent. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so let's use this and see what's up. Let's go experiment. Let's add that to the tools namespace here. Rasterize as B. Hopefully it loads. It should. There we go. All right. Now we're on to something. Render. Can't export to JPEG. I'm not going to worry about that. Let's see what this looks like if I do, well, okay, let's make a little, what's the right, you know what, let's def A as a simple circle. It's always a good place to start. Nothing too crazy. And now we do B, render SVG document. A is the SVG string. Hopefully that's fine. Out.png, and I'm going to assume options are optional. Optional options, yeah. PNG's default quality for JPEG. That's strange that you're allowed to specify JPEG, but you can't export JPEG? I don't understand, but that's okay. Tries to determine width from source SVG. Oh, so this is not likely to work because it's not a fully SVG document, right? Yeah, so if I wrap this, still no. Oh, that's my mistake there. We gotta make it like this. Okay, so that's not it. Maybe you can't just pass in a string. What other functions are there here? Oh, I'm just using the wrong render SVG string, maybe. So URI. Okay. Illegal argument, no matching method, get bytes found. Taking one argument for a persistent vector. Oh, okay. I'm obviously being a little bit silly. I keep forgetting steps in this process here. I actually have to turn this into a proper string. That's just my own fault. So there we go. It should have made out.png. So now if I do clojure.java.io/file out.png, it should display it, and it does. That's pretty cool. Okay, so the library is working inside the REPL, and I don't need to call objects, shell out to another program. So that seems like it'll be faster. So let's change this function. Okay, to literally be the same thing. Just calling a different function here, b/render SVG string. Okay, where I run HTML over SVG data. And I save it to fname. Okay, so it seems like a bad policy to name it that way, but let's leave it that way for now. Okay, there we go. Let's see if this kind of works faster at all. I have no idea if it will, but let's give it a shot, right? Why not? Let's also go over here and remove out.png just so we don't overclutter this structure here, or this file. Okay. Now we've got A is just this circle. Let's show A. That was a lot quicker. Subjectively speaking, that felt a lot quicker. Which makes me quite happy, to be totally honest. I'm pretty stoked with that already. Let's add a little flavor to this circle. How about that? So let's do svg/circle, and oh, that's my bad. Let's do oh, I have to give it a actual size here. Let's make it a bigger circle, huh? If you want to measure times, you can kick off a timer between start and stop as a way of measuring actual speed. That is very true. That's a good point. I'm not sure. I think the magnitude of change is probably big enough that I won't need to, but if I am at all curious, I will wrap it in time. There is this, like clojure.core/time. You're exactly right. You could just put it in a do, or I could literally just wrap show in time and get some rough estimates. But before I go there, let's see. We've got a slightly bigger circle, so that'll make the raster a little bit bigger. Let's also do let's just change the style, I guess. I don't know if this will work. I don't think it will, but let's give it a shot anyway. How about that, huh? 0.5 RGBA and stroke blue, stroke width 2. I forgot to def A this bit. That's my bad. All right, there we go. So now let's show A. Ooh, it didn't work and then it did. The fill property does not support function values. Right, so what that means is this RGBA won't work. I'm going to assume RGB won't work either in this case, which is actually a problem. But let's see if I'm right about that. No, that works. Okay, so it's the... That's interesting. I guess RGB is implemented differently in the like CSS specs than RGBA. Seems strange to me, but whatever. Let's do opacity. Okay, so let's now do time. Let's time that just for kicks. Show A. 11 milliseconds, 10, 10, 11. Let's do 400. Let's do a bigger circle. Opacity 0.75 and the stroke width of ridiculous. There you go. I love it. Now let's swap this. Where am I at here? Oh, right here. SH. Now let's run that again. See that? You don't even need to run time to like, you can just see how much quicker it is. Right? So we're on a 10 times difference here in speed. That's awesome. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's so great. Noticeably different. Yeah, I didn't really need to time it. But that's cool. I'm happy with that. If you want to measure times, you can kick off a timer. Oh, sorry, that's an old message. It's strange that it wouldn't work. Maybe it's a limit of the REPL itself to being able to render actual alpha values. So in this case, I'm quite sure it's not the REPL's problem. And here's why I can pretty confidently say that. So I'm going to run b/ render SVG string, right, on HTML of A to out.png. Oh, that's my bad. Wrap it in an SVG call. How about that? Yeah. Nope. Jeez, my typos are horrible. What? So sorry. Apologies for the ridiculous mistakes. Okay, so there we go, right? It made out.png, which clojure.java.io/file out.png will look exactly the same because I haven't changed it. But if I were to now redef A to use RGBA, right, and do 0.5, okay, so even if I call this without displaying to the REPL, what I'm going to expect to happen is that it gives the same error. Indeed it does. So it is unrelated to the display of the image inside the REPL. It is purely on the output side, on the rasterization part here. So the attribute fill represents an invalid CSS value. Fill property does not support function values. Now what I'm going to guess is that this library, well, first of all, this wraps a Clojure, or pardon me, a Java library, Batik. And what I'm gonna guess is that it's using an older rasterization engine than modern browsers. And so RGBA, I think, is a newer thing that's not properly handled in this in this toolkit. That's my guess. I don't know for sure that that's what's going on, but that's the guess. So I know confidently that it's not related to displaying the image though. So that's one good thing anyway. The reason it's still generated, like it's still able to generate the thing, but you can tell it just skips, like it just ignores the fill property and it defaults to the black fill. So it's still able to show an image. It just doesn't have any of the alpha applied because it's an quote unquote error in that context. By the way, this does, it fails differently, but the RGBA does also fail when you run the shell version of this. So if I change it here, to this, oh, there's an extra. Did I swap the order here? Yes. So it will also still generate an image, but it'll fail differently. And by that I mean, I think it'll treat the fill as an RGB fill and not an RGBA fill. Or is something going wrong? Now I don't know what's happening. There we go, it worked. I was just impatient. Oh no, that's the same. Anyway, I digress. I think that's something I can't solve / won't worry about right now. What I can do, or what I could do to guard that a little bit, is issue a warning / convert or remove any alpha calls. Like I could walk through the whole structure passed in to this function and just replace RGBA with RGB minus that, but that's maybe more trouble than it's worth. I'm just super happy with the speed improvements by using this library. It's definitely much better. So that is quite cool. I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that. It makes the library like a little more approachable, in my opinion. You can load it, and it just kind of works. The thing I have to make sure, I think it should work with a Clojure script project. But now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to just double check that. So let's go, let's open up this flower one. Check here, so the depths, it's using, yeah, that's good. So let's cider jack in CLJS. I just want to make sure that I can still use my library code, both Clojure script and Clojure side. This particular tool is only a Clojure tool, the little viewer thing, at least for now. So let's check Figwheel main. I'm just checking that it doesn't break this Clojure script project. I think it should be fine, but you never know. Valid. Let's see. All right, we've got, ooh. All right, so this is super nerdy, but I bought, like I ordered a Rubik's Cube, like one of those really smooth ones, like that you're meant to do really quick and stuff like that. And I'm super excited. I just got an order confirmation. Should be here this week sometime. It's a total digression and it's super nerdy, but it looks like a lot of fun. I've learned how to solve just a 3x3 and a 5x5 cube, but I don't have, like, I never had a really smooth moving one. I just had kind of like a cheap one. Never been able to solve one. I know there's a trick, haven't learned how to do it. Yeah, so the thing that maybe people don't realize immediately is they're like, the solutions are, you kind of just memorize some algorithms. So there's like a few common cases. First of all, very likely anyone can intuitively solve up to a certain point. Like, you could get one layer and the corners just on your own by simple logic of how the parts move. And you can work your way up. And then at the last moment, there's... uh-oh, this is not good. At the last stage, there's just some things that, like, you can't use just basic logic to figure it out anymore. You would have to be much more thorough and stuff like that. So instead, at this point, they're well solved, right? So you just memorize some moves to finish it up. And then when it comes to doing them really fast, there are some slightly more advanced ways to memorize it, and you just practice a ton, and it's basically pattern recognition at that point. So the skill is less in sheer intellect and much more in effort and practice, in dexterity and memorization. I mean, so it's just using your brain, I think, differently than how people think the cube is, you know? Like, you don't have to be a quote unquote genius to figure it out. You just have to be the kind of person who's into that sort of thing. I would imagine the reason people like speedrunning video games is the same kind of reason that people like doing Rubik's Cubes. Anyway, that's that's my story about why I'm starting another dumb little hobby. Plus, it's just very satisfying to play with, like, just to move them around. It's maybe I'm a little ADHD and I just need that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm excited for the cube to get here, though. Okay, so this is the project, and it does appear to be working, except for that REPL evaporated thing. I think that's just related to the things just loading too slow, and then it times out the connection. So I'm still in the Clojure REPL here. I didn't load the Clojure script REPL, even though it's working here. It just didn't connect it. Anyway, doesn't matter. It seems to be loading just fine. So I'm going to tentatively call that good. And I have to watch the time, so my roommate has a meeting coming up. I'll keep going for a little bit, but I might have to dip out in the next 10 to 20 minutes. So that'll have to be it in the near future. I hope that's cool. All right. Yeah, so I briefly pulled up a picture. This is the latest quilt pattern I finished up. Quite proud of this one. Really simple, but it's so satisfying when you can make a one function and just swap color palettes to make a whole structure like this. Looks nice. You're about to go work out soon anyway. Only running 3K though. Nothing like a 55K bike ride. Nothing wrong with running 3K or 1K or 20K. Any exercise is good exercise there, Mike. No shame in anything. Yeah, and I don't know if I'm going to do a 55K ride today. I have to tighten up a little thing on my bike. I might do 20, might do a little less than that, but it'd be fun to get out on the bike. All right, so what have I learned? I've learned that if you can find a Clojure or Java library to do a thing directly, it's very likely to be faster than shelling out to an external program, which is very exciting to think about the possibilities for me. Yes, so tools. I kind of like also keeping this as an option here. So what you can do is potentially, if there's differences between the in process renderer versus the external renderer, you could, if one fails, you could try the other and maybe you get better coverage for your situation. I don't know, but we'll see. It does look like this is like a pretty new and like well-maintained library anyway. I wonder what let's see. Generator, swing SVG, transcoder module. What is this? Squiggle. That seems cool. Ooh, I'm very curious if this is gonna work. Let's try, let's get weird with this. Let's do, show text. Hello. No. Again, I'm always forgetting the namespace. It didn't work. Bummer. Okay, let's try. Okay, so text works like that. HTML of text creates text. Okay, that's good. Why then does this fail? Let's see. Oh, that's wrong. Ooh, still no. Oh, but it's not failing from that point. It's failing because of what I think is happening here is probably bounds. Do I have, sorry, let's see here. Yeah, bounds, SVG text, ASDF. Yeah, that's part of the problem. So bounds for text is not implemented properly, so it fails. I have to explicitly wrap this in my own SVG and then pass into that there. Ooh, this is taking longer. It also didn't seem to work. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's define A as some new thing. We're gonna do text, hello, and style, font size 12, font family Verdana. Should be good. Yeah, that's fine, right? Fill blue so it sticks out. TF/translate this whole thing. Oh, one other thing to do here. Oops. Text think it's text alignment, I think is what it's called. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's see. Translate it 50/50 and then wrap it in an SVG. That's 100 by 100. Okay. All right, let's give that a shot. Let's show a. Hey, there we go. It does work. That's pretty cool. That does make me realize I should do something with text. That's going to be really tough. Let's just do one final thing. I think I'm going to call it, yeah, in about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to kind of fool around a little bit with some of the 24, not 14. Hell. Oh, also this was the wrong, it's clearly not lining up in the middle. Text anchor, is it? It might be anchor. Text anchovies, eh? Yes, it was anchor. There we go. All right, so let's see. Excuse me. Bounding box of an SVG. Get bounding box. What's this about? I don't think I could use this, even if it would be helpful. JavaScript, or sorry, Clojure script, rasterize. Let's see if there's anything useful that shows up here. Oh, that's my own library. That's not quite what I'm looking for, but that's okay. Rasterize SVG Clojure script. What's this about then? Rasterize SVG exports a default function which returns a promise once the file has been saved. How does it do it? Let's see here. Source. Oh, it's TypeScript. I don't know about that. Well, let's go find this observable thing. That might be a little easier to grok. How about that? What I think this is probably rendering to a canvas and then saving the canvas out to a PNG. That's my guess. Saving PNG or saving SVGs built in. That's not what I need though. Not quite what I need anyway. Beautiful. Okay, serialize. The whole reason I'm thinking about this is it would be super cool to have a show function that does work in Clojure script context. So you could just kind of treat a Clojure and Clojure script REPL very similarly, like you both have the show tool. That might be fun. So this is something to poke around with for sure. So consts, those are all strings, it should be fine. Return function, serialize, clone all the nodes, get all of that stuff, get all the values and stuff. String, so get it out as a string. Wait a minute. This is not the right thing to look at. This is what I want. Okay, so you can render the SVG to a canvas to generate a PNG. That is exactly what I am thinking about. Okay, so if I get a node, does Node.js have a I don't know, I'll figure that out. I'll figure it out later. So this looks fairly straightforward actually. So I have to serialize the SVG string, which is this, so I do need something like this. Okay. Serialize. And then rasterize. Okay. Let's leave a little link here. The show function works with Batik. It lets you quickly view SVG elements in the REPL in Cider Emacs for now, to get similar results from a Clojure script context. It might be possible to use a serialize to rasterize approach as shown here. There. It's good enough for now. Excuse me. Save SVG. Source, please. Save SVG. Let's see what's up. Right. Anyway, this is a good starting point. Really, it's not that critical one way or another. All right, so we saved that. I'm trying to think, like I've got about 5 minutes. I should go soon, but I'm trying to think if there's anything useful I could just use 5 minutes for. Let's see if there's anything helpful. Oh, I should start this, by the way, as well. I wonder if there's any other useful libraries by this person. That's not what I meant to do. Working on some FFmpeg stuff. There's this. Yeah. Let's actually see the whole source here. It's probably, oh, it's kind of annoying. By annoying, I don't mean that the library is annoying. I mean it's more code than I thought. So I'm not gonna just implement it myself. I think I will just pull it in as a dep. That's not too bad. Yeah, I think that's okay. Let's do one final thing here. Clojure, copy file into memory. See if there's anything useful I could find quickly with that, because that's something I still don't understand entirely. Populate a file, populate the file on the command line. Data file. I don't quite get that. Slurp can be used directly on a value of IO/resource. Okay. IO as IO. IO/resource hello.txt. This is a typo here. This should be data file here, but that's okay. Right? I think so. What about reader? With open, reader, that file, reduce, line sequence, reader. Yeah, I don't know. Input stream. What's this stuff here? It's not exactly what I'm looking for. Let's see. Is there anything else I could kind of squeeze into this, into the last couple minutes here? Have a quick look at tools watcher, because that's another important thing to pay attention to, right? You know what? I'm not going to try artificially inflate things here. I should respect the need for my roommate's meeting to go uninterrupted and all that kind of stuff. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll be back again tomorrow, and I hope everyone has a good time. Get outside if you can. Take care of yourselves. Be healthy. Be happy. All this sort of stuff. And that's all I got. Have a good one, everyone. I'll be back another time.